All right, you guys, today just going to be a quick overview of some syntropic rows that I've been putting in. As you guys can see, we have a water source now. A lot more information to come, but for now, I'm just going to hop right in, show you guys what we got going on. So right here in the front in this open area, we have sugarcane, right? No canopy cover. So I'm planting things that can take full sun, okay? And as I walk back, you guys will see that I've kept a lot of the native canopy, all the native trees, right? Not just a traditional farm, come in and bulldoze everything, right? No, I wanted to keep the natural fauna. The natural fauna is here for a reason. It's here to tell us something about the soil, the conditions, and it's also here to provide some microclimate. So I will take it, I appreciate it. Only thing I've done is trimmed up a lot of these lower branches. You guys can see there's still some on the ground. But yeah, so anything that's evergreen is going under canopy unless it's to be planted as an annual like the sugar cane. Okay. So I'll also give you a quick side by side. This is a row I've planted. You guys can tell it's green. And we've made a little path there. Whereas if I come over here, this is what the rows would have looked like maybe 2 months ago. Nothing there, right? I will do a side by side. I do have pictures and stuff before I planted, kind of been going along the process, but for right now, I'm just diving into some things we got going on. So something else, here's another little patch of sugarcane that's coming up. As you guys can see, I have beans planted with all the sugarcane, right? Nitrogen fixers. Again, these trees are here to tell us something. We have a lot of mesquites, palo verdes, acacias. Those are all nitrogen fixers. So that's kind of nature's way of telling me the soil here needs nitrogen. And nitrogen fixers for a crop like sugarcane is just a good idea anyway, because sugarcane's a grass. You want it to have a lot of green growth because the actual crop itself is green growth essentially. So we've planted things that are evergreen underneath some canopy cover here. So we have citrus, got some seedling guavas. These were all just planted bare root. Okay, all grown from seed. Some of them looked pretty rough, but they're starting to bounce back. Look at that. If this camera wants to focus. Little green shoots starting to come out. Okay, and as you can see, between all these guavas, these citruses, we have beans connecting everything, connecting guavas to white sapotes, and because we want all these root systems to be connected, to be touching. I want all these root systems to kind of form that mycorrhizal network as quickly as possible. So I don't want a whole lot of unplanted area, right? It goes from citrus over to the guavas, which a lot of them are twigs. You can barely see them. Beans everywhere, connecting it to white sapotes, feijoas, blackberries, etc. So I've grown just about everything here from seed, except for a few things like this citrus. But this white sapote, grown from seed, nitrogen fixers right there next to it. Feijoa, grown from seed, more nitrogen fixers, blackberry, and this blackberry right up onto some more bare root guavas. This peach tree, another thing I didn't plant from seed. Again, I have bought a few plants, but 90% of everything in this system is grown from seed because we have to be economical, you guys. Especially if we want to have an impact on some larger landowners, you know, these people with thousands and thousands of acres, then you have to show it to be profitable. That's just the world we live in. So something else I'll be doing as I walk through is I will go ahead and pick flower heads off of plants. So we're doing that for a few reasons, but one, I don't want this particular plant, you know, whatever it be, to end its growth cycle, okay? Because these plants, again, they're here to tell us something about the soil, what the soil needs. So instead of just letting it go to seed, I'm gonna let this plant sit there build its root system, grow more and more, and, you know, fix whatever deficiency it's trying to fix, correct whatever soil issue it may be. I don't want it to just stop its growth cycle, go to seed, and then that's it for the season. I want these plants to be working for me all season, right? Working to fix this soil. That way we can get the soil here fixed even faster, okay? And also, it'll send growth hormones into the soil and keep the system from going into senescence. So, as you guys can see, kept all the native trees here. Some Palo Verdes. Again, this is tree edamame essentially. This is another tree I did not grow from seed. This is a Royal Poinciana. Lost all its leaves during the winter. We do get cold here, you guys, but bouncing back nicely. So, let's see if I keep going. Got more guavas that I just planted bare root. Excited for these seedlings. They came from a very special fruit. Over to calamansi grown from seed. Again, under a lot of canopy protection here. Garcinia. We've got jaboticaba. More seedling guavas there. And yeah, so just planting densely, and anything that's evergreen is really going underneath canopy cover. As you guys can see, we've done a lot of trimming here. That just makes it so we can actually walk around, get through these systems. So here, let me show you this row, because this is a good example of something. So in this row here, you'll see not any really canopy cover, no protection. This row is very open. And so in the open rows, we're planting things that are deciduous, that can take a lot of sun and can take some cold, the cold that we get down here in zone 9. Of course, these aren't going to take like sub-zero temperatures, but they can handle what we got going on here. So I've got things like figs, mulberries, some olives, even though that's kind of an exception. That is evergreen. However, it can take the cold down here. And this is a nice little consortium to show you. So we have a fig right next to an annual crop here, which is going to be the sugarcane, and nitrogen fixers planted on top of the sugarcane, of course. Some beans. The sugarcane is coming up right through the beans. Next to that, we have a thornless opuntia. And also I've planted tons of support tree seeds. Like here you go, here's an example. We have a moringa popping up right there too. So just within this couple feet, you guys, we have a fig, sugarcane, beans, moringa, thornless opuntia. So we're planting everything really dense here. We really want all this mycorrhizal connection. We want these root systems to kind of spread over as much area as they can, as fast as they can, build that connection. And the thornless opuntias, they act almost how bananas act in a tropical agroforestry system that actually gets adequate rain. They act as a water tank, and they will kind of form a symbiotic relationship with the plants nearby. It'll store water and share water when needed. But yeah, so you know, if I'm walking down here from this fig, we got going into an olive, a mulberry, and as you guys can see, right, here's an olive, and then we have beans connecting all the way to the mulberry. And after the mulberry, look at, we have another row of beans going down, connecting to another fig. Right, again, I want all these root systems to connect as fast as possible. So, you know, if this mulberry and fig are, looks like about a meter and a half apart, which they are, I don't want them to take a year or two to connect the root systems, right? I'm gonna plant things as dense as possible, try to get those root systems connected immediately. So, keep walking down here. You know, on this other side, again, we have, looks like sugarcane coming up through some peas, thornless opuntia, prickly pear. And the way that I've tried to organize these rows is I've tried to keep all my support species on one side, right? Like this side here with the moringas. There it is. Right? Moringas, thornless opuntias, which are acting as a support species in this system. on one side of the irrigation line and fruit trees like this mulberry on the other side. So that way, when it is time to manage some of these support species, I don't accidentally chainsaw anything that I don't mean to, right? So yeah, this open area, we're going things like figs, mulberries, olives, things that can take full sun and things that can take the cold here. Under some canopy cover, like right here, these mesquites, I've got things like this citrus here. I've got citrus, got passion fruit, I've got feijoa, grown from seed, of course, white sapote grown from seed. And yeah, so evergreen things underneath this canopy cover. I don't want the leaves to get completely singed during the hot summer months here, which it gets really hot. And also I want to give them some winter protection because it does get quite cold, although these mesquites aren't going to provide a whole lot of winter protection. They are deciduous. They will lose their leaves in the winter time, but it's going to be more protection than if nothing was there. And again, you guys can see where I've kind of pruned up these mesquites. That way it's easier to work in here and keep the canopy up. Here, go for a little walk back here. You guys can see I have cleaned out underneath a lot of these trees, but there is still some branches on the floor. Oh, and you know what? A question a lot of syntropic people are gonna ask, why aren't you using that woody material as mulch? Well, you guys, mesquites have some really nasty thorns on them. I'll find an example for sure. So the thorns can get anywhere from, 2 to 3 inches. I've seen thorns as big as 4 inches long. This is actually a relatively thornless mesquite. However, a lot of thorns, so that's pretty hazardous to step on. Here, even though this is relatively thornless, you guys can still see it's got some solid thorns on there. They'll go right through a shoe, right through a boot, right through a wheelbarrow tire, right through irrigation tubing, right? So kind of hazardous to use as mulch as is. And also the branches are not straight at all. They're very wiggly, so they make very poor soil contact. If you had a skid steer with a mulcher on it, totally would be a good idea to mulch those up. But in my scenario, I don't have that equipment. So just kind of saving some of these branches for now. When the time arises, gonna make some biochar. Walking back past some Palo Verdes. Again, underneath canopy cover, evergreen trees, right? So right here, I have just a bean plant acting as a support species. Let me pull it out of the way. You guys can see a seed-grown calamansi there, being supported by that bean. We have another example right here. Another seed-grown calamansi being grown right next to this bean. This one was kind of a runt, but I decided to plant it anyway. And again, evergreen trees like citrus, feijoas, white sapotes, guavas, avocados, anything like that, gonna be going under canopy. And in some of these open places, we have more sugarcane here. More sugarcane growing up alongside beans. And yeah, you guys, so, we're growing a lot. We're putting in a lot of plants, a lot of species. This is somewhat of an experimental planting. By no means does a syntropic system have to be this complicated. I mean, a syntropic system could just be, let's just say figs up top, blueberries underneath, 2 species, right? That is also probably considered syntropic, as long as you're doing some pruning and chop and drop, right? Maybe a canopy tree up top just for organic material. But yeah, you guys, a lot of these bare root guavas looked really rough right next to this pea, but starting to wake up. So excited to see that. But yeah, so this was just an update. Just wanted to show you guys some rough things we got going on. Another tree I did not plant from seed, avocado. Next to one I did plant from seed, guava down there. But yeah, guys, quick update. Thanks for watching, and talk to you guys next time.